Here's an easy way of how to build my pulse clock circuit known as the Hartley Logarithmic pulse clock multiplier. As you can see here, I use hoppers, droppers, dispensers for this one right here. For example, if you put an item inside of a dispenser here, which is connected to a dropper, it would actually create this circuit. And then this is what it creates. But here's another way of how to improvise this. If you take two comparators and you place them right where the observers are, basically you'll get this shock right here. You can see it's using 3D thermal effect. By locking it in place, you basically get this. Another cool design is by using target practice. If you take a target block and if you put a comparator next to it that's facing away from the redstone line, by locking it in place, this way, or not, by locking it in place and putting redstone over it, this will happen. The main part is trying to aim for the center, to where the comparator is connected to. This would happen because it's locked, but if you unlock it again, the comparator will turn on and it'll create a pulse circuit. But the key point is by adding more redstone, by connecting it to here, this will happen as well. It will give you the same thing. It'll just stop for a second and it'll continue to do a clock circuit as well. Another cool design is using a pressure plate. By using a pressure plate and using a comparator again, we can examine how this here can actually create the nonlinear effect, which involves a block that's not into the same hemisphere that's actually been distanced away by the total axis of the block that's been connected to redstone power. If we take a comparator and if we take a comparator and if we place it there, if you place it this way, and if you add yourself a pressure plate, this will happen. This will happen. And also add some redstone. This will happen. It won't do nothing because we need to connect redstone to here. It will stop for a second, and when you get off, it will continue. Another easy way to solve this puzzle is by looking at one of these hoppers. One of these hoppers will literally make this stop by adding an object into it. By taking a hopper, if you put it in there, it will create the glitching effect on a hopper because the non-stable circuit is still continuing to pulse, meaning that it still has the ability to keep creating pulse circuits until the monostable circuit doesn't apply to it no more. This next one is known as the dropout effect. The dropout effect also involves monostable circuits, NOR or NOT gates. If you by creating an XOR gate, you can understand this really easy. If we take a button and if you put it underneath a dropper, it will not do nothing. It will slow down the pulse thing, but if the main part is it will slow down the pulse line. But if you put a comparator under it, and by adding a redstone torch on both sides, and by pressing it, or place it on the other side, and by pressing it, it will do nothing. That's because it's at a fault line that we cannot connect to. And that is my pulse multiplier circuits.